Hey, YA. So today we are in Mark 11 and John 12, and boy, is there a ton I could talk about in these verses. A lot of it is just surrounding Jesus's authority. It's when he's entering into Jerusalem on the donkey. People are saying, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest. Blessed is the coming kingdom of our father David. In John, it refers to an Old Testament passage that talks about Jesus being a king. So it's a lot about his authority in these verses as the coming king and savior. And what I wanted to pull out was something you could easily miss in these verses because they're so packed. And it's actually in Mark 11. And this is right after he's ridden in on the donkey, and there's crowds surrounding him saying, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest heaven. And in Mark 11:11, it says, Jesus entered Jerusalem and went into the temple courts. He looked around at everything, but since it was already late, he went out to Bethany and with the 12. So Jesus has just come into Jerusalem as this king that people are recognizing. And he goes into the temple courts and he looks around. And obviously, if he's looking around, he's seeing all the corruption that's going on there, right? He's seeing people buying and selling where they shouldn't be, people marking up prices on these animals to these poor people who have to buy them there to sacrifice them, all the corruption that's going on in the temple courts. But he doesn't do anything right then. It says he looks around, he sees it all, but since it was already late, he went back out to Bethany with the 12. So kind of what I wanted to pull out, I think a lot of you have heard the story, which it talks about later, and like down in verse 15, on reaching Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple courts, began driving out those who were buying and selling, overturned the tables of the money changers. He goes in and he basically lays the law down. This is not how you are to use the temple. But what's cool about this, and what I love about this, is I think a lot of times people picture this as like Jesus flying into a rage. He comes in and he sees what's happening. He's shocked and he just flies into a rage. But it says in Mark 11:11, he went in. He saw all of it. And he said, okay, I see it. I'm going to address it in a minute. Right? He's so intentional. He goes back out with Bethany. He comes in probably more so in the daytime, because it says it was late when he was in there in the daytime. So people who he was protecting, which is why he went into this rage, right? Like it's not a rage, but why he came and overturned the money tables and everything. He's protecting the people who can't afford to buy these animals because they've jacked up the prices. And he wants the witnesses there to see this, to say, I want you all to see this is not how my God's house is to be used. My Father's house is not to be used this way. You all need to witness this. He's so intentional with his teaching and with his acts, and it's so purposeful the way he does things, and it's just really cool. And that's kind of what stuck out to me today. So that's what I wanted to focus on. I hope you all are blessed today, and we'll see you later. Bye.